Hello, everyone. It's two Southern Susans at the Festive Piedmont Club this month, getting ready to have a delicious lunch and raise a toast to the reissue of Susan's wonderful mystery, Lowcountry Bordello. Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh. Oh my goodness. What a wonderful way to celebrate. Everything's decorated so pretty here. Y'all can see some of the decorations. And of course, we're celebrating. We're going to order some lunch.
We are.
And then we're going to chat all about Lowcountry Bordello.
It's going to be fun.
She
Stay
has
tuned.
questions. The English teacher has questions for me, y'all. I'm
Watch
very
out.
intimidated. I better drink up.
Definitely.
Well, we're on to dessert now, so
We're back.
we wanted to show y'all our
Want to
desserts.
be jealous?
Right, so I have that apple thing again. They call it an apple gâteau. And it has some kind of ice cream, salted caramel ice cream, I think. And so very sinful, and I'm going to have it because
Because it's Christmas.
Yeah. Although, honestly, I had it last month and the month before, too.
Well, it's okay. There's always a reason. And I have the 4-layer red velvet cake. I mean, is that not just wonderful? So, here we are, back at it, and so glad that Susan has reissued Lowcountry Bordello, and we're going to talk about that today. Now, I love all the Liz Talbot mysteries that I've read, but I especially like Lowcountry Bordello. I don't know what that says about me, but I've never been to a brothel, but I really love that book. So talk to us a little bit, Susan, about what's made you reissue a second edition and have at it.
Okay. So initially, for the Liz Talbot mysteries, at least for the first 10 of them, there was a publisher, Henry Press, involved, and my contract with them for each book was a 10-year contract. And so after 10 years, I get the rights back. And when when I first got the rights back for Lowcountry Boyle, I had to figure out how I was going to make that book still be available to readers, because when you get the rights back, the publisher takes it down. It's unpublished. And so, I could have tried to find another publisher, but I talked to my agent about it, and she told me, and I knew this is true from talking to other people, that publishers are not interested in a book if another publisher controls the other 9 of them. So the only way I could make the first book in my series still available for other readers was to create my own imprint and reissue it myself, which I did. Most of you know I did that, because that was how I was going to keep my books available as I got them back. So once I had done that with Lowcountry Boyle, then it just became, this was going to be how I was going to do the rest of them. So subsequently I got Lowcountry Bombshell, and then I got Lowcountry Boneyard back in the spring of this year. And in November, early November, I got the rights back for Lowcountry Bordello. And so we just create a new cover, do another editing pass in case there were typos that got missed the first time, and reissue the book. And so now it's available with a new cover in all the formats: ebook, audio, print, trade paperback, hardcover, and large print.
And it's just as good as it was before.
Oh, thank you.
It's kind of, there's humor in here. There's a funny setup. I mean, that room over the garage with all of those toys, it's just like, God bless America. It's really, really good. But of course it centers on a murder, a serious crime. So talk to us about what made you decide to stage the murder in the bordello.
Okay, so this is an interesting origin for this story, but so in the beginning, I had published, or Henry Press had published Lowcountry Boyle, and then when it came time for the second book, I had decided it was going to have a Marilyn Monroe tie-in. And so we came up with the name, actually Sugar came up with the name Lowcountry Bombshell, which I loved. But now I had a pattern, Lowcountry B-O something. So after Lowcountry Bombshell came out, my agent called and said, the publisher wants to put books 3 and 4 under contract. Do you have synopsis? And I said, no. And she said, do you have titles? And I said, let me call you back. And so I pulled out the dictionary and I looked up words that started with B-O. that I thought would make a good book title. And so I came across Lowcountry Boneyard and Lowcountry Bordello, and I called her back and I said, they're going to be Lowcountry Boneyard and Lowcountry Bordello unless you have a better idea. And she said, no, she laughed. She said, those are great. So when it came time to write Lowcountry Bordello, that was now my writing prompt. I had to write a book that fit that title. So I started looking into, was there ever a bordello in Charleston? And turns out, yes, there have been.
Oh, I'm sure.
In historic homes, that has happened before. Now, I did not write about any specific home that really did used to be a bordello.
Even though the home is based on a real home in Charleston, right? But it wasn't a bordello, folks.
No, it never was. That was my cousin's house. It was never a bordello. It's not anymore. She sold it.
So that was your specific interest in that house, is that you were very familiar with it.
Well,
because it belonged to your cousin.
I wasn't that familiar with it, but I knew about it, and I was somewhat familiar with it, and that was where she lived, and I could, I sort of asked her, "Can I make your home a bordello?" And she laughed. She thought it would be great fun.
Yeah, and it is.
And then I told her I was going to take liberties with the floor plan and all that. She was fine with that, but before the book was ever published, she decided to sell the house. And so I had to put a disclaimer in the back because I didn't know the new people who had bought it, and I didn't want to give anybody the wrong idea. So I had to put a disclaimer in the back of the book. As far as I know, number 12 Church Street in Charleston has never been a bordello. Please do not drive by looking for the
Nor
floozies.
probably has anyone been murdered there, as far
Probably
as you know.
not. As far as I know, no. But, in those historic homes in Charleston, who knows what all's going on there.
But I think probably reputation-wise, people would be more afraid to buy a home where someone had been murdered than one that was a bordello.
Probably.
Yeah, I think
You never
there
know.
would be a real stigma with that. In fact, I know of a situation like that. And so I think it's a little bit of humor in it, but it's also poignant too that the woman, well, she's the co-owner who owns the bordello, now with Olivia, who has hired Liz for this job, that she's morally complicated. I mean, she's this nice little old lady aunt of Olivia's, but she's, we're certainly sympathetic to her. What guided you in developing Aunt Dean?
That was mostly just my imagination. I didn't really have an inspiration there beyond, I wanted her to be a sympathetic character, and I think I pulled that off, but I wanted her to be, in my mind, these sisters sort of gradually got into this situation without ever
They needed the money.
They
to
needed
keep
the money.
house.
They rented the rooms. They didn't really know in the beginning what they were being used for. And then they were making too much money once they found out to put a stop to it. And so they were smart. They made a business out of it that benefited them, and sort of kept control of things so that it stayed high class.
Right, it was high class, and it was just, it was one mistress for one man. It wasn't like, you had multiple people coming in or not. It kind of reminded me, you remember that Andy Griffith show where the two sisters run the still, and they have their medicinal punch or whatever they call it, and it's just grain alcohol, I think, from the still, and people come and get it and they sell it to them, but they're still sort of, I don't know if they are naive, but there is this naivete to them, just like there kind of is with Aunt Dean. It was just like, well, this is just what happened, Oh, gosh. And, one reason we're talking about Bordello right now, well, in addition to the fact that it's just been reissued, but it is a Christmas story, too.
It's a very festive bordello.
It is a very festive bordello, and here is Liz getting married at Christmas. There's a whole lot of excitement in this book, and the holidays just exacerbate that excitement. So what did you, I guess, what made you decide to actually set a book at Christmas, and then what did you enjoy most about writing, Christmas mystery in the Lowcountry?
So I was feeling energetic in 2000. 15, I guess it was. And I had published, or my publisher had published in the spring, Lowcountry Boneyard. And then I really just felt like I had another story in me that year. And so I talked to my publisher and I was like, we won't have a lot of time to do a lot of different things that we normally do, but if I can get this written, when do you have to have it by to get it out? Because I wanted another book that year. So it just made sense for it to be a Christmas book.
So
because
timing, yeah.
most of my books are natural summer releases, spring,
Yes.
summer, because
Yes.
they're beach reads.
Right.
But I wanted to write something that could be reasonably released in fall and have appeal. It's hard to release a summer beach book in October,
point.
November, December.
Good point.
So Christmas is the next opportunity, I think, for what I write.
That was good.
So I decided it would be a Christmas story.
And there's just, there's the market of Christmas novels, I think maybe in the last decade has really become a phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
People are looking for
Mm-hmm.
books with Christmas settings to give as gifts and things like that. And I don't know that was really true until the last
Mm-hmm.
maybe 10 years. So, but that's, not that there haven't been Christmas books. There have,
Right.
but novels, I
Right.
think. So, now here's a bit of a more complex question. Have a bite of dessert, and then
Okay.
I'll pose
All right.
it to you. You have definitely got a signature style, and Liz Talbot is a well-developed character, and we know her style. We know kind of what she likes, what she doesn't like, not always how she's going to respond, but to some extent. So you've got Southern mystery with humor and atmosphere and heart and some quirks too. So what would you say are elements, because you can't have Southern characters, right, in Southern novels without quirks or without just downright crazy sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But what elements make a story distinctly low country, and how does this book embody that?
Okay, for me, a low country story is very simply one that's set in the low country, in a very specific part of South Carolina. And it's a part that I happen to love very much. So we're talking, Charleston and areas north and south of there, that very
Right.
specific
Right.
part of the coastline is where I feel drawn. And so for me, what makes it low country is simply location, because you're right, the other elements are Southern, and they're elements that would be common in any Southern novel, the quirkiness and the crazy and all that.
And the humor.
And yeah, you find that in a lot of Southern novels, but the thing that makes it uniquely low country, I think, is the setting. Right, and the heat and the humidity and the live oaks with the Spanish moss and the
Right.
just all of and the pluff mud and the sound of the surf and the place that you visit as you read this story is almost as much a character
It is.
as the characters.
It is.
And so I think
It is.
that is what makes it a low country story.
Good answer.
Thank you.
Very good answer. And I should have mentioned too, I love Susan's use of our Southern language and our colloquialisms.
Thank
That she, sometimes I'll hit a phrase in one of her novels, and it might, of course, most of them I've heard before, but maybe I haven't heard it in a while, and it just makes me laugh out loud.
Oh, thank you.
It's really good. This novel, very different from the other mysteries, arrives at a very powerful climactic, point for Liz and Nate, because it is their marriage. And so did anything about the preparations for the wedding, and it's just so touch and go with trying to work out the case with the murder, and they're trying to prepare for the wedding at the same time. Did anything about all of this stuff back and forth between these two things, did you get surprised by anything yourself with the marriage?
Did I get surprised by anything?
Did you ever think, gosh, things have gotten so involved that maybe Liz and Nate are not going to be able to get married right now. They might have to put it off a little bit, but you always knew this was going to be one of those books that ended in marriage.
I always knew they were going to get married in this book.
Okay.
And
okay.
part of that is, you know, I wanted the first few books of this series to be their romance, you know, and of course their romance extends to all the books because they are very much in love. But I wanted this to be their, you know, how they work it out and come together, and that culminates in their marriage. So that romantic storyline plays out over the first 4 books. And I really wanted to wrap that after 4 books. I did not want that to be an element of the suspense and the tension for the whole series, because to me, that was just not realistic. It didn't feel real to me. I needed for them to resolve that one storyline in about 4 books, and I thought that was reasonable. You know, we could have some push and pull in books 1 through 4, but by the time 4 wraps, we want them happily married, and then we go on to you know, other issues. And so that was always my plan.
Okay.
I won't say anything really surprised me. Although I will say I wrote this book faster than any other book I've ever written.
Interesting.
Because it was fun for me. It was.
Yes, it's fun to read, so it had to be fun to write.
I had a lot of energy, you know, going into it, and it just came really fast because I was excited about the story, and I had decided, you know, that it was just this very hectic run up to Christmas when you have 3 competing things. You've got Christmas and all of the festivities. With that, you've got the run up to a wedding and all of the crazy and the stress with that.
And you've got a lot of suspects.
And then you've got this bordello and the murder and all these suspects. And so I wanted it to be a situation where, you know, Liz was just dancing as fast as she could, and she had all these balls in the air.
She does.
And so that was my intent, was to make her a little crazy with this book.
Very good. Very good.
Well, thank you.
Well, yes. Absolutely, it's just a lot of fun, and it's very fast paced, you know, because it's got these 3, like you say, these 3, not plots, but these 3 time things that close in on her. I don't know how she gets it all done, but by golly, she's Liz, and so she does.
I have to say, I feel really bad because I keep getting to eat my dessert. And you're not getting to have
but
any dessert.
But I'm going to take some of it home, so
okay.
I'm in good shape.
Mine has ice cream, so it's time sensitive.
Yeah, mine is not time sensitive. Now, I have been, since the first Liz Talbot mystery that I read, and I told Susan this years ago, I've been enamored with the character of Colleen. And I think she is a really cool device. But she's so much more than a device for Liz, because she can lead her into some knowledge, but not full knowledge of what's going on. But I want to know what inspired this spiritual being who was Liz's dear friend in real life. And instead of us really ever being sad that she has died and that the real life friendship doesn't exist, you know, it just keeps going. It keeps going in a different dimension, but it keeps going. So just personally, if you don't mind my asking, do you have a belief, or what do you think about departed spirits visiting us?
Well,
or how did you come up with the idea of Colleen, or both?
So that's a complex question.
I know it is.
I'll try to answer those things one at a time. So I do believe in an afterlife. I'm Christian. I believe in, you know, everything. I believe in all of it, the whole thing. But with Colleen, you know, I do think there are things that we don't fully understand.
I do too.
And there are things that we don't fully know. There's a lot that we don't fully know. And so it's conceivable to me that after this life, there is a, you know, for people who have gone before their time, you know, that there's a time, it's not like purgatory, but it's like a time where they go and they have they work essentially. They,
Yeah.
you know,
They have
towards,
unfinished business.
they have unfinished business, yeah. And so they work and have a mission in this afterlife. And so that's conceivable to me. And when I first started thinking about Colleen, it was in the context of that Liz Talbot had some personality quirks that I was trying to figure out the origin of for myself. And I thought, okay, she has this overdeveloped sense of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
She's always trying to make everything all right for everybody. Why is she like that? And as I was mulling that, I was thinking something must have happened that sort of haunts her, something that she feels responsible for. And so I decided that she had a really good friend who passed away when they were young. And although she was not in any way responsible, she felt responsible.
Right, yes.
And then that word haunts kept flashing on and off in my brain, and I thought, this is Charleston.
Why not?
We can have ghosts here. There are tours for the ghosts,
That's
you know.
right.
So you know, I decided a ghost would be a good addition, and I had already written Lowcountry Bordello 3 or 4 times, but I went back through and wrote it again and added
Included
Colleen. And the story just felt so much richer after that to me.
Yeah, she's just a really good addition, I think.
Thank you.
Yes.
So anyway, that's where Colleen came from. And I had decided at some point that because biblically the two become one, that after, you know, up until Liz is married to Nate, the only person who can see Colleen, unless she materializes, which is something that she develops along the way, is Liz. But then after she marries Nate, suddenly Nate can see her because the two have become one.
And the
so
book
then,
ends with her saying, "We gotta talk about this and explain it."
Right.
But one of the things I like about the way you use Colleen is, I won't call it magical realism exactly, but it hints at that, because it's like the supernatural is just accepted. You know, it just becomes a part of the everyday human life, of Liz's everyday human life. It's not that we get sort of shocked or put off or anything like that when Colleen appears. It's just part of the life that's going on in the real world.
It's become part of Liz's life. So
and I like that very much. Okay, now let me see what else I'd like to ask. Did you think you've kind of covered this? This was a question we had for readers who aren't familiar with rights reversion, and I think you might have covered this. Talk a little bit about that behind the scenes process, because it is pretty complex what Susan has accomplished here, and in being able to, I won't say rescue her books, but when you've got a press that has, and it happens all the time. You know, publishers go out of business, and if you don't do something as the author, that could just be the end of it, which is, it's not right, and it's not fair, and it's unfortunate. But talk about just briefly. I know you said something about it a few minutes ago, but how do you get so for readers out there who might wonder, how do you get your rights back to a book?
Well, they just expire. So it's like you give a publisher rights to publish your book for a set amount of time. Now, some contracts are written, what's the terminology they use? In perpetuity. You grant rights in perpetuity. And my publisher tried to get rights in perpetuity, but I would not grant them. Originally, I had 5 book contracts. And then at some point, I wanted my film rights and my foreign rights back because I had some nibbles, on that. And I wanted to be able to exploit those rights. So I gave them 5 more years in return for my film and my foreign rights. So now I have 10-year contracts on all the books. So as those roll back, basically, we just take the file, the file that is the book, the electronic file, and do another edit, because nobody's perfect and things have been missed. Every book has some mistakes, so we want to catch any that we missed the first time, or that we all missed. And then we just put new front matter and new back matter, and we change. Okay, now there's a link to my website, my newsletter, things that I couldn't have before, because the publisher would put in links to their website or whatever. So I put in all of that, and then have a new cover made. And basically it's just formatted for all the formats and uploaded. It's more complicated than I'm making it sound.
And you buy it back. I mean, you have to negotiate buying them back, right?
Well, I don't. I get that. Well, okay. After 10 years, each title expires, and I don't have to pay any money for that.
Got it.
That's just an automatic, it reverts. If I want some of them back before that 10 years expires,
that's what we've talked
then
about.
I would have to buy them. And they're, I have discussed with them buying the rights back to the rest of the books so that I could just go ahead and republish them all under my imprint now. But, that's something we've talked about, but
Right.
has not happened at this point.
Well, and as you say, you typically did one a year, and that's about probably as much as you can handle to go through a reissuing anyway.
Right. Well, I'm also doing other books. I'm doing new books. So I'm on the one hand, I've got the reissue of the books that had already been published, but now I'm also publishing new titles instead of going through someone else. I'm doing my new titles now that I know how. I mean, why not? So. It keeps me busy and out of trouble.
Yes, we've just been talking about while we're eating lunch all of the busy that is.
I have a Trello board. If y'all know what that is, it's like
I do now.
It's like an online work management system. So you have all these lists of things that need to be done, and you would be amazed at the things that need to be done to publish a book.
It's impressive.
And I certainly could never do them all by myself. I think. And I mentioned this in my acknowledgments, it takes a village to publish a book.
Absolutely.
So I have, different things I have editors just like any other author. So I have a developmental editor, I have a copy editor, I have a proofreader, I have someone who manages my ARC team, I have someone who helps me with Facebook, someone who helps me with my newsletter, somebody who does graphics, somebody who does the formatting, somebody who does covers. I mean, there's just all these different, somebody who does my website. So there's all these different people that do all these different pieces. And to keep everything coordinated, I have this Trello board, which has all the different moving parts.
Which you have done very successfully.
Well,
I'm in the process now of the copy editor has finished my next book and doing that, and I just think, it is a lot, but yours, what you're able to manage is just
I have a lot of help.
Outstanding. Yeah, but you still got to manage it. You still got to manage it. I'm going to ask this kind of last question about Bordello, and then I want you to tell us what's coming after the Christmas season. So, since this book has been out, and this is its reissue, and you've gotten a lot of feedback from readers over the years. Have there been any comments, reactions that have stood out for you about Lowcountry Bordello, either for, probably for good, because I don't think many people are going to have anything ill to say, but something that just stands out for you?
Not anything in particular, except, so there are a group of women who are in a book club, and this was actually my niece's book club, and I went to talk to them either for Lowcountry Bombshell or Lowcountry Boneyard, I can't remember which one. And somehow it came up, we were talking about this character auction that I had done where somebody won the right to be in Lowcountry Boneyard. It was a charity auction. And so they were all, I want to be in a book, I want to be in a book. And these are young women, like in their 30s or whatever. And so I thought, okay, I will make y'all the ladies of the Bordello.
Oh,
so
wow.
I used their first names.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah. And we had a party when the book came out, and we all had on the boas and the big hats and everything. It was a lot of fun, yeah. And they came to the launch party, and it was just a lot of fun.
That was great.
Yeah. And actually, one of those characters is being resurrected in this new book that that comes out in April.
Okay, which one?
I can't say without giving away a plot point.
Darn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but anyway, that segues us into, so tell us, Susan's got a book coming out in April, so tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so Troubles Turn to Lose is my next book, and that comes out April 7th. Now, y'all, I originally had said that Troubles Turn to Lose would come out in April of 2025, and you may have noticed that didn't happen. But the last few years have been a bit hectic on the home front, and I got behind. And I did not want to release another summer book in the fall, which is what I ended up doing with Sullivan's Island
Yeah,
Supper
Sullivan's
Club. I released that in September.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you just, you almost sabotage a book.
Well, right,
when
you
do
missed
that.
your window. It's, you know.
Right. So I didn't want to do that again. So I saved Troubles Turn to Lose for April rather than release it in the fall of this year. So it will be coming out next year. And it is a Hadley Cooper book. It's one of the Carolina Tales mysteries. And it's the third novel in that series. There's a novella in there too, but this is the third novel. But it also has a walk-on or an appearance by Liz Talbot and Nate Andrews and some of Liz's family. And I think that those of you who are Liz fans will enjoy this. I really
I think it's going to be.
I mean, Hadley fans will too. Obviously,
Yes,
it's a
yeah,
Hadley
I think
book.
it's a great thing.
But if you have never read the Hadley Cooper books or the Carolina Tales, then you'll want to check this one out, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. But it definitely has some, Mom and Daddy show up, and actually the first
Which
character,
are some of your funniest scenes.
Right. Well, thank you.
With Liz's
Thank
parents.
you. Actually, the first character and the one who makes sure that these worlds intersect is Carolyn Talbot, and I will give this much away. So y'all who have read the Liz Talbot series know that in Lowcountry Getaway, Liz and Nate at the very end decide they're getting out of the private investigator business, and they're gonna run this foundation that does good things. One of them being protecting Stella Maris from weather, from hurricanes, and making sure that things are taken,
Yes.
that what can be done is being done to mitigate storm damage and that kind of thing. So they do other things at the Talbot and Andrews Foundation, but it's been 7 years since Lowcountry Getaway, so they've been doing this other thing for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
But now Hadley, who is roughly the same age as Liz, they're only a few months apart. We picked her up later in life, so there was a time there when both of them were just doing their own thing, and then Hadley appears when I think it's on her 40th birthday, that Big Trouble on Sullivan's Island opens. In this third book in that series, which is Troubles Turn to Lose, Liz and Nate are 7 years removed from the PI business, and Carolyn Talbot really likes that a lot and does not want them to be pulled back into it. But suddenly Carolyn has a problem because she has the need of a private investigator.
Oh,
and so
very clever.
She looks up, or actually a friend, they have a friend in common, Sarah Beth Boone, and Carolyn knows her through a place where they both volunteer. And so Sarah Beth tells her about Hadley, and Carolyn goes to hire Hadley to do this thing that she does not want Liz to know about, because Liz will want to take care of it.
Yeah.
And she does not want that. That's a slippery slope, and she knows it. So she hires Hadley. And that's what sets all of this in motion.
Neat.
Yeah, it's
Very
a lot
clever.
of fun.
Very
Did
clever.
I answer your question? Because I've
You
really
did.
forgotten what it was.
Yeah, about, well, that I mentioned that both Liz and Hadley are going to be in this book.
Right.
And so, yeah, you've told us, and you and I talked in the past about your thoughts and what you were going to create and how you were going to imagine that. And so I'm just now finding out myself for the first time. We've got this wonderful book coming out, and just tell viewers one more time your title.
Troubles Turn to Lose, and it comes out April 7th.
And it's a Carolina Tales, but it has got some overlap with the Talbot family.
And then in fall of next year, I have not decided exactly when, but it will probably be late October, early November, maybe a little earlier. It depends. There will be a new Liz and Nate book. But it will not be in the series, the Liz Talbot mystery. It will be in a new series called A Talbot and Andrews Investigation. And so I decided to do this because some readers, after you get 10, 11, 12 books in, they feel like, okay, can I read this to start? You know, you're here
Yeah,
today
yeah.
talking about this book, you're promoting this book, but do I have to read 10 or 11 other books before I can read this
be
book?
overload.
And even if you say, no, you can start with this one, some of them want to read in order. And so there's like a barrier to starting, to reading that book. So I wanted to start a new series that starts 7 years later. And so we're basically starting over with Liz and Nate at a different point in their lives. And
So we'll have
it's
all
a new series.
new perspectives and new understandings.
And I'll have to make
how
sure
it all
I get
works.
enough of the story in there so that readers are not lost if they've never read any Liz Talbot at all, because this is the first book in a new series. And so I will give the readers all the information they need. Now, I'm not going to go back and rehash,
Right.
11 books in a
Right.
short story collection, but I am going to give them enough that they're not lost.
Yeah, right, of course, absolutely. Well, this has been lovely, as always, and we appreciate you all joining us, and we will see you in the new year.
Yes. Merry Christmas, everybody, and
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
New Year. And we will see you in 2026.
Cheers.
Woo, wait. There we go. Cheers.
Cheers.